This is Angela Coulter and
Sarah Sieg Evagnoni.
bringing you this week's Ascended World podcast. And we're doing this live stream as always as well. So, yeah, we started talking. We probably should have just started recording right as soon as we started talking because this is such a meaty kind of thing. So, what did we talk about last week? We talked about.
Oh, let's see. Wow, what did we talk about last week?
We talked about. I was thinking about it in meditation this morning too, and it was right there. Oh wait, I have my notebook right here. Hello.
I'm looking at mine and I fell.
Okay.
Being again, wasn't it?
Oh right. Mm, right. um. So yeah, those little things. We were talking about those little cracks and crevices of things that might still be holding us back, limiting beliefs, all that kind of stuff. Hey, Laurel says, "Hey guys, trying to find my headset as it's early here on the West Coast."
Yeah,
Well, glad you could join us.
I know. I was hoping she would.
The so well, cracks and crevices, right? So we were talking about what we have hidden, right? That is still holding us back because it's expectations. That's what it was. It was all around expectations and things like that.
Right.
So I don't know about you. Well, like I do know about you because we were just talking about it, but it was a bizarro week energetically last week.
It really was. It really
It
was.
was it was great, and there was so much. It was real for me. It was like this. I had so much communication, which was great. It was a very full week. A lot of things had gotten wiggy, and they all got sort of straightened out. But then they kept on feeling wiggy, and then feeling fine, and feeling wiggy, and feeling fine. And like I'll tell you what I was telling everybody. I'll tell everybody what I was telling you offline is like, it was funny. Brianna comes home from work, my oldest, and she works at Barnes and Noble at one branch, and says on Friday night, oh, somebody went into the store nearby, and another one nearby, and with a BB gun started shooting people. And then like an hour before that, I'd been on the phone with my daughter down in Wilmington, who in her shopping center where she works, not in the same store, but it was like a couple doors down or whatever. And like a Great Cuts, a woman was getting a haircut and just dropped dead. Like, this is how the chaos is just churning, right?
It really is. It really is. And it's, if people are just, I was talking to my husband when we were walking the dog, and I said, we're at the point where you either are trying to outswim the tsunami that's coming, or you're choosing to let go of whatever it is you're trying to take with you and allow yourself to be on top of it.
Yeah.
But there's nothing in between.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much where we are. And we've talked about that. So what I've been looking at is, because, it was funny, and then Saturday morning I got up, I was feeling really weird. My husband was everybody's feeling really weird Saturday. I was glad to have kung fu to sort of let the energies like even out, but I was still a little bit edgy, not
Right.
unhappy, but just edgy all weekend.
Well, I know we texted late in the week last week about this anxiety that kept coming up, and I know Laurel and I had done some work since midweek last week, and it was centered around trust, and trust is something that it's like the shadow work. Oh yeah, I've done that. But every time you come to a new level of being, it's a new level of trust, because there's a new level of authenticity and a new level of honesty and a new level of everything. And everything has to level up. And I sit and I think, I'm looking at it from whether you're looking at it from like our solar system or from the cellular level, it's still that layered and the rotations that, whether it's planets or electrons circling or but there's a level of authenticity, trust, safety, love, at every facet and every level. And it's like every time we shift one little piece now, it all has to shift. We
Yeah.
can't we can't take baby steps or small bites anymore. It's
Hmm.
again, it's either try to outswim it or get on top of it.
Well, and also not even outswim it, but realize that it's really not there to begin with, right? It's only what we create, you
Right.
know? And it's been really funny because so I've had the reflection based on, looking at houses, right? Because we have the
Right.
pending thing going on with our house. And I found like yesterday, it was a beautiful day out, Scott, and I decided there's a house around the block that was up for sale that we went to look at mostly for comparative purposes because I think it was the same builder and everything. But also then we're like, oh, well, there are several open houses in the area and all that. So we went to some houses that we had been interested in. We looked at, and I'm finding I'm almost getting more irritated the more houses I look at because then the more I'm just like, yeah, no, because I wouldn't want, like, cause I like this and this, but I don't like this, right?
Yeah. Don't
And I
settle.
like this and this, and I don't like this. So, something felt off to me about that anyway, right? And so I was looking at that in meditation this morning, and I was thinking, okay, so because at the end of the day, I said just I still love our house the best. I mean, for our purposes, I mean, it just works, and we have no choice about this, because it's being bought by the DOT. So I'm like, okay, so I'm putting it out there, and the couple of houses that I have really loved for their possibility have both sold because we are not ready to commit yet because we're sort of that in between. And so I was looking at, okay, so what is it for me to look at? Because it's something for me to look at because I'm just sort of a little edgy about it, all that kind of stuff. And it's almost like we set these expectations, right? Again, it goes back to expectations of, okay, all right, I'm ready to realize I create this, right? So this is what we say, this is what I want, although then we shift that in our language to, this is what I'm ready for, right? This is what
Hmm.
I'm creating. And when you say, okay, it needs this and this and this and this, this is these are the elements that I would like to have that would support me perfectly in a way that's it's limiting what we could turn out with. You know what I'm saying? So it was really
Exactly.
funny. Yeah. So it was funny because I was like thinking about it and I'm like, well, what if I just put it out there that, like it will like the perfect house and the perfect situation, the perfect piece of property and the perfect place that will support our lifestyle and our life in a way that we can embody bliss and happiness, right? What if we just did that?
Well,
And
and that fits right in with what I saw with my daughter. She's trying to apply for scholarships and considerations since financially I can't help her because we're in bankruptcy. But yet she can't qualify for financial aid as an independent because she's under a certain age. And she's just like, I feel like it's so helpless. And I said, she was applying for a scholarship that's based on financial need, and none of the documents really make it look like she has financial need because there's nowhere to say, my parents earned this, but they can't help me.
right,
So she said, I just feel like that I'm just doing this for nothing. And I said, but sometimes you just have to put it out there because if this is all you're looking at, you're limiting yourself to so many other possibilities. And what if
right,
this is just the first step to
right,
getting you out there to something that's even bigger and better?
right. And so that's what I was looking at going, okay, so instead of, so what I was focusing on a lot of is what came to me last week was to focus on what am I being? Like what, not doing, because we've been talking about being versus doing. So what am I being that really honors me, right? So I was looking at that. Um, and then what came to me this morning was, okay, so now from this and with this understanding is, so what else can I be? Like what is the potential with all possibility,
Oh, that's nice. That's
right?
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like, why would you say, I want $100,000 in my checking account when the universe was like, oh, well, I was going to give you $500,000. But if you only
Right.
want 100,000. Okay.
Right. Or even when we say, oh, well, to do this business, I have to earn this much a year, instead of the universe saying, okay, well, you're going to get this
That's
unexpected
all.
landfall or whatever. And,
Right.
and so we don't realize that we limit ourselves. It goes back to that expectation thing. So I really felt good about that. That feels like, oh, so what else can I potentially be that will allow me to embody bliss in every moment, right?
Right.
And we forget about that. Like, it sounds so simple, but we're so focused on what we don't want, right? Or what we have to have, or what we need, or we believe we need, that we forget about that trust. That's that next level of trust, right? That we're talking about, like
Right.
next levels of stuff, to say, so I don't even need to do the details. I just am going to say, so what is it I can potentially be? So show me,
Right.
universe, what I could potentially be, like in bliss and
Because
whatever.
we when we set out to visualize exactly what we want, we are already limiting ourselves by what we remember at
Mm-hmm.
this current moment in time. So
Right.
if you set it out there for like, for instance, just I want to feel like this. I want to feel fulfilled. I want to feel uh I don't know, overflowing joy.
Yeah.
If you put things out there like that, the universe can come up with things that you never that your mind and the smallness that we're being right now, that limits it.
Right. Right. How can I be overwhelming joy? How can I be um abundantly prosperous, you
Right.
know?
More, and having more money than I can imagine.
Yeah. How can I be, or just how can I just be in a place where I never have to worry about this stuff, like, ever again, because it
Right.
just
Right.
is there, because I trust. And it sort of goes back to something we talked about, I don't know, like several years ago, I think, which is the realization of, when we truly get to that place of trust, no matter what the bank account looks like or whatever looks like, you've won the lottery in every moment, because the
Right.
universe will always provide you that realization, right? Our higher selves will provide that realization in every moment. So Laurel says, I'm currently in the extra credit class on this. Being with mom is all about limitations, and the interesting experience I've had is how to be me with my belief system and not turn into a sniveling, I think,
14-year-old
14-year
again.
old again.
Right. Well, then, and that's clearly something that's, you know, an opportunity for you to say, I'm being more than that.
Right. Right. How could I potentially be even more centered, even more, like
Right.
loving? Um,
And then trust the universe has the answer.
yeah, that it'll show it back to you. Because when you ask it, how can I do this?
Right.
It shows you in spades, right?
Right.
How can I do this? It gives you the opportunity. Instead of, it sort of goes back to that whole thing. Instead of saying, why can't I do this? Right? Like, because when we say that, the universe just says, oh, well, let me show you why you can't do this, because you think you
Right.
can't, right? But
Right.
instead, if you say, how can I do this? It's like a very simple shift. Like, how can I have that in my life? How can I
Right.
have that feeling at all times? How can I have that reality in this way? Um, that always, for me, whenever I focus on things like that, it comes up 1,000 times. Like, if I start asking those things, I'll just get ideas, or situations will come in front of me, or I'll have opportunities that come up. So, or I will see like a stumbling block will come to the surface that I haven't been looking at, because I haven't asked, how can I get to this place where I can hold the vibration where this is my reality? Well, then the higher
Right.
self says, well, for us to do that would be for us to let go of this little stumbling block that you hold on to in that deep crevice, right? And that's the shadow stuff, because I know you said that you have had the shadow things keep on coming up, like the clearing out of the darkness. And
They do. And it's, I feel like it's so much smaller than it's ever been before, but it's still that last And I don't want to say it's a crumb because it doesn't look like a crumb to me, but it looks like a little, molehill or ant mound or, that kind of thing. And when I was working through that I guess that was yesterday morning, um, it was interesting because I saw it as each little cell in my body creates its own shadow. And that gave me such a different perspective instead of, I'm divided in half and this is the light half and this is the dark half.
Right,
It's like
right.
each cell creates its own little shadow, which in and of itself creates balance, which when I say that just gives me such a sense of overwhelming joy that even at the cellular level, I have this level of balance.
Right. Right.
And
And the more we trust that and allow it, the more we allow it and it happens, right?
and the more
So
beautiful it becomes. I
yes.
was explaining to somebody this weekend about, you can't have a painting. I guess you can. Paintings you need to paint with the color black, or you
Well,
get no depth in your
well,
picture.
or just shadow, because here's the thing. So what is essentially what is white? White is all the colors together, right? So you have this, right?
Not black with all the colors together.
No, black is the lack of any color. White is the prism.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Yeah. So you have white that has everything included. That's the whole,
Right.
right? So, but we love, like, but we could look at white all day. And I mean, I don't know about you, but when I've walked into the houses and back to the houses, I've been saying any house that's like all painted white or is like a room that's everything's white, you're like, it's so stark and
Right.
boring, right?
Right.
So what we've loved, and I had this conversation with Lucifer like ages ago about the whole separation of color and separation period and creating, because it was separation that created color and depth and all this other
Mm-hmm.
stuff that we don't look at as the shadow, but the prism incorporates all the colors together. Right? It's when you pull them out into separation that you get all the different colors. So when you start making paintings or whatever, or anything, right? Look at the vibrant color behind you. If you didn't have that separation, it just wouldn't be in existence.
Right.
And that's what we've loved, in all essence. But it's the recognition that it's all part of the whole to
Right.
say it's not bad, it's just different. So, like, whether it's yellow or red or purple or black, it makes no difference. It's just still a part of the separation of the whole. And so
Mm-hmm.
so when I saw that a long time ago, because the creation of the dark, and that was that discussion with Archangel Lucifer at the time, was like all about the creation of the dark and what that purpose was, the creation of the separation and why we did it, and how the dark serves us in terms of what we wanted to create in this separation. It just made so much more sense because, again, it's when we embrace the whole of us, right? Which is, of course, then it's when we embrace the whole of us, and that's all of it. That's the shadows, like you're saying, in the cells, right?
Right. Right.
And I don't think of it as balance. I think of it as wholeness, right? It's wholeness within
Exactly.
itself, right?
Exactly.
So we think of like each cell is whole unto itself, right? Each
Right.
organ is whole unto itself, right? And we're whole unto ourselves, and we're whole as we go concentrically larger, in consciousness. And that's I think there's a part of us that doesn't believe it at the whole level, right?
Right.
Or there's a part of the ego that doesn't want to believe it, or doesn't, because it knows that its death is truly the acceptance of the whole, right? Because in
Mm-hmm.
the lines all just dissipate.
Right.
And it's not that so, like, we talk about this and then we get into the discussions of, is it all a dream? Is none of it a dream? Which is great because actually the blog that we're putting up on the Trinity website, this today, is all about, it's about the dream is kind of thing. And it's sort of like, is it a dream or not a dream? It doesn't matter because it's as real as we want to give it credence to be real, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I like that.
the realness is truly the color, the depth, the texture, the feeling, the senses. That's what we've created in this particular dimensional living, right, in these bodies as part of us. So I keep on getting that too, by the way. Like I was getting it for a while, like in a more intense way, and now it seems to be a smaller piece of it, like the dark healing kind of thing, right? Like
Mhm.
the pieces and parts, the crumbs or whatever, the
Right.
resolution, the the saying, the recognition of it's all perfect in
Uh-huh.
its wholeness,
Yeah.
no matter what it presents as. And I think part of the challenge that we have is that we are constantly trying to judge what's better, right?
Right.
Um, I don't know.
Well, and these, you know, setting up a dynamic with those pieces and parts of us, because they're there whether we acknowledge them or not. And if we set up that resistance to them, it creates behaviors and dynamics that wouldn't be there if there weren't the resistance, which then gives us that nice variety of the drama in this separation that's becoming unacceptable.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny because something just popped into my head while you were saying that because it was something that I thought about last week. And was listening to somebody who I know who started just spends a lot of time talking about doctors and appointments and like even just the whole personal lives of the doctors and all kind of stuff. And I'm just, you know, to me, I'm always, I accept, like Laurel's talking about like being with her mom and stuff. And so you just sort of, I'll just like, and, you know, listen, let them have their floor and then move on to a different subject. But what I was really, because it was in a conversation of three people that I was noticing this, because I was just able to sit back and observe instead of having to be the only one, you know, having the conversation with them,
Right.
was that, so the conversation was about this person's cardiologist who is back in school for his MBA, right? And this person brings this up constantly, like it's a bad thing. Like, I can't believe my cardiologist is going back for his MBA. Like, what the hell does he need that for? And, da, 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 da. And I'm just like, and literally, this person has brought this up so many times, and every time I'm like, so good for him.
Yeah.
He wants to expand his horizons. So what's wrong with that? Well, he doesn't need you. He's been in business for all these years, and I'm just like, I don't understand. So it's not even judging that. This is the observation. The observation was, I know this person has brought it up to me at least 20 to 30 times in the past like 6 months, right?
Right.
And I
Right.
think and that every time they bring it up, it's like a 5 minute conversation of me saying the same thing or not saying anything as they sort of go off. And I'm just like, wow. Okay, so if you take the energy, right? So this is what I was observing. What if we took all the energy that we put into worrying about stuff that really was not worth worrying about and we just put it into being and centeredness and love, right?
Right. Right.
Like that one thing would save that person so much time, right?
They might not need a cardiologist.
Exactly. Exactly. So, you know, and this particular person, like it's just like it's not even a rarity. That's why I don't even. It doesn't even matter who it is because it's all over the place. Like, and I hear somebody
Right.
talking about, all right, when we talk about things like we get obsessive about the crusade about single payer healthcare, you know, like all this kind of stuff, right? So think about that. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying look at the energy behind that, right? So all like people are saying, okay, well, look at how many people worry because they don't have adequate health care, and look at you know what the pharmaceutical industry is doing, and blah 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 blah, right?
Right.
Truth, right? However, the same the same energy of that or not the energy, those who are putting so much energy to that, like 90, I would guess that at least 95% of the time are not actually living a preventive and healthy lifestyle themselves.
Right. I
Okay?
agree. I agree.
Because so my whole point is always, but the whole issue is truly that we don't take care of ourselves. We don't know our bodies. We don't listen to ourselves. We give away our power. We let other people tell us what we do and don't need, right?
Right.
We
Right.
we give away our power to let other people give us medicine that we don't need because it
I
just
mean, we've given the power of our food supply over to you know someone
right.
else.
Right. And we've given our power of this reality over to others, right? And we put a ton of energy to perpetuate this. And I thought, well, so this all came to me in this one conversation at lunch one day when this was going on, and I was just observing this and thinking, what if we took the energy that we put into like proving ourselves right and like that we need to do this and da 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 da,
And defending
and
our positions.
yeah, instead of just saying, you know what? How about I take better care of myself? Because that is the best screw you to somebody who doesn't want to give you health care that you can give them,
Right.
right?
Right.
Is
Right.
okay, guess what? I'm taking care of myself. And I'm preventive and I'm learning how to listen to my body and I can do like and I'm not saying to become like some like total like nutritionist, freak in many cases,
Right.
but it's
Don't
it's
come from
not
that place of fear.
right. It's because that can be daunting in itself, right? So like
Right.
knowing and you and I both have been really involved and entrenched in holistic health for a long time, like even beyond the energetic stuff. And it can be if the mind kicks in, the mind wants to do the same thing it does with regular drugs, right? Are these herbs the right thing? Is this treatment the right thing? Is this like activity the right thing? Blah 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 blah. And it's like it goes back to what listening to your guidance and
Right.
trusting it, trusting what your body is telling you, right?
Right. Which you can become a prisoner to your diet.
Yes.
Oh, I can't go out to eat because I can't have dairy. I can't have gluten. I can't have refined sugar. I can't, the list just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
And coming to that place of where you can listen to your guidance, you don't. It frees you from that prison.
Right. And we don't do stuff because we judge it, we have expectations about it, all that kind of stuff, right? So, it's like a friend of mine and I who talk, and she is fabulous in all this kind of nutrition world and health world and preventive health. And we've had these conversations. It's like, so many, so many experts say that, vegetarianism, veganism is the best way to go. I don't necessarily agree with that. And I tell people that as well. It's like, I believe our bodies are built a certain way. And if your body is cool with that,
Right.
and so here's how you can tell. If your body can stabilize and balance and normalize on that kind of diet without having to take extra supplements to fill in gaps that you're not getting and you're having problems with because because of your diet, well, then that's great. But if you are having to take supplements, then you might want to look at, other ways, like if you really truly want to nourish your body in the way that is optimal, then to listen to your body as to what that is.
Right.
Because all the stuff we do, so, I look at this too, is like you have people who are vegetarians, but they don't insist on eating organic. Okay, so there's so much crap on our plants today, right?
Right. Right.
The
I mean, there's
pesticides,
shifted risk.
it's just a shifted risk, right? So it's like, okay, so you're going to do this, but you're not going to do organic all the time, or you're going
Right.
to, so, and all these are judgments, and all these are those things that are in the folds that we still hold on to as right or wrong or good and bad. But it's like, what if I allowed me to be the most, like, what would that look like? Like, what else can I be that would be the optimal version of me? What would that look like without judgment?
Right.
It sounds so easy, but
And it's
I
really
mean,
just uncovering who you already are.
yeah. Well, and taking off all these layers of others'
Right.
expectations, right?
Right.
And that goes down to wearing makeup and what you're doing with, your hair or like your body or whatever. It's like, do you feel good? Are you feeling
Right.
vibrant?
Right. Right.
Are you in a place of love? And then it doesn't matter what, I see this a lot. And I see this a lot now. What's interesting is I, a lot of us who get involved in energy work, I know it's a shift in our vibration and all that kind of stuff, and our metabolisms often get a little bit screwed up around all that, right? So then we have weight gain or weight fluctuations or whatever, and there's so many who are just like, oh well, I'm like I hate my body, I want to get, and I'm just going, but part of this whole effort is coming to that place of self-love first, and
Right.
then creating your body differently, right?
Right.
And not doing it from a place of, oh, I'm going to punish you until you do what I want you to do, right?
Right.
Which is
Which is
basically,
what I found for myself was that I had to start listening closer to what my body was telling me and to follow that guidance of what I truly needed, not what some book told me that I needed or what the latest thing says is the best or, a quick trick, trick your body into letting go of fat and all this kind of stuff. It's like it came to me listening to what I needed.
yeah, yeah. And how do we listen is how we feel. Like when we feel into our body and all that kind of stuff, it's like,
Right.
well, when I do this, I feel good. Okay. Most people cannot say that when they, eat a ton of junk food, they feel great.
Right.
Now,
Right.
however, there are some times when you want to just like have a little sweet treat or something like that, and then it's like, and it's something that you feel
It's a
nourishes
joyous
you.
event.
It's a joy. Yes, it's a joyous event instead of all the guilt and whatever associated to it. Okay, so Laurel says, okay, so this part is about giving power is what's being triggered here at Mom's. There's an expectation that I continue this. Oh wow, this is a lot. Hold on. Go
Yeah.
ahead on. Continue this since I grew up acquiescing and I'm getting angry and snarly and snippy every time Mom tries to do what she's done for decades, and it's kind of silly because in my automatically unconsciously reacting like that, I continue to give away my power just in a different way. Yet I'm so tired of hearing about how most everything I do is blank. I just want to scream shut up. So of course, what is really going on inside of me? Who do I really want to scream at? What do I want to really say? Why am I not just in peace no matter what? ROTFL. Sarah, this answers how yesterday was.
Right.
Um, so yeah, and that's the whole thing is, so that's the stuff that I'm trying not to overthink right now because I'm seeing the little places that we give away our power in like everything we do, right?
Right. Right.
But and I think part of the reason I'm so observant about it is because of the whole like ways to celebrate me thing from February, because I'm so very uber conscious about everything that I'm doing and interacting with now. And so then the question I was asking is, so if I'm participating in this conversation, even to just nod, right, about whatever the
Right.
cardiologist said in my MBA, am I contributing to the perpetuation of that energy? I actually am at the point where I don't really have any energy about it, except I'm going to move
Right.
on to another topic, you know?
Right. I think that what I do when I'm in that kind of circumstances is what impact is it having on me? And
Hmm.
and it and it I wouldn't be part of the conversation whether I was participating or not if my energy were of a place to where that just didn't come into my purview.
Yeah. And all I can think of is what we can do. And it sounds so sort of tacky. People are like, oh, okay, that's so lame. Is like, when I catch myself looking at this stuff, I just like say, all right, I'm just going to hold the space of love, right? Honoring this person as the perfect divine being that they are, even in whatever they're distracted with right now. Because I know I'm obviously distracted with something myself, or else I wouldn't be having this conversation, right?
Right.
So, and then it goes back to that whole honoring the whole to say, you know, you're perfect as you are. Whatever you came here to embody, even if it's a distraction, that's fine. Except this is, since we talk about collective stuff, the thing that's been sort of weighing on me, that's a little, not weighing, a little puzzling to me is why have we gotten to such a place of this distraction? Is it because we're at this place of resolution, at the brink of resolution, so that the panic, it's that whole like
Chaos.
the chaos of the cells, right? But, like we were talking about, like the molecules, say, of water before it turns to a gas, right? Before it starts to
Right.
steam, before it starts to boil. Um,
You get that
it,
that friction and the bouncing off each other, which precipitates the change.
yeah,
Which I really think that I believe that's where we are, and I believe that we've created it so that it almost like everything had an expiration date. Like my dad used to say that he was living beyond his expiration date. Is that we've created this place, 3D, whatever you want to call it, with an expiration date. So that if we didn't step up to make things different, it was going to fall apart, so that we would then have no choice but to have things be different.
right.
And I feel like we're experiencing the expiration of this reality that we've created, and that is what is precipitating us to do things differently.
Right. Oh, and it goes back, and well, that ties back into what we talked about several weeks ago about that whole shift in dimensions that we didn't even really take note of back in 2012. But the
Right,
exponential
right,
curve of change has gone up quite dramatically, and we're in this point of getting ready to go through another dimensional shift.
right.
Maybe this summer, because it seems like everybody's got a whole bunch of endpoints that are happening around June this year.
I know. Yeah. I mean,
Um,
we're
so
ramping up to something pretty major.
yeah, and
Like,
so anything that, so then maybe that's why it's so apparent, it's so loud. Like it's anything that's so loud of these distractions, because it's like what we deem, so it's just the same when we deem something good or bad. If we become an activist about something, that means we're fighting against something else, right?
right, right,
And I'm just like, so to me, to go back to that discussion about like what we're wasting, like not wasting, what we're putting a ton of energy on, and yet then ignoring within ourselves, that's our biggest distraction. I'm going to put all my energy into doing this, and I'm going to ignore me. Well, at the end of the
right,
day, when we get to this whole thing, to the bigger picture, and we start looking at the collective, then it's, well, okay, so I'm obviously ignoring me, so it had to go to the collective. And if we're all ignoring me, it goes to the collective in a really loud, obnoxious way,
right.
so that that's when the tsunami feels like it's coming over and drowning us.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Perfect examples of that. So again, like where it really starts is, so where are we putting all this energy to prove somebody's wrong or bad or limiting us or whatever? Again, it is like, yeah, acknowledging I'm letting that happen, but also saying, okay, so I would rather spend the energy, instead of judging that or putting energy to that, coming back to myself, to expand my energy of being even bigger,
Right.
more completely.
And whenever I run into something like that, is I want to say, is there anything here for me that I'm not looking at?
Yeah.
And as soon as I've checked myself about that, then it's okay. So how does this? I don't, I hate to use the word benefit me, because that's a judgment. How does this
Well,
expand me?
yeah. Well, you put it in your path for a reason, right? So how, like, what is this, the lesson, what is the lesson here for me to see, if you want to say it that way,
Right,
you
right,
know?
right,
And how can I do this lesson in a way that I don't have to have it in this kind of way, that I can do it in a much more loving, smooth, whole way?
right.
Um, the fact of the matter is, like, when I sort of looked into that whole energy of all that one little conversation sparked in observance for me, was we are deathly afraid of giving up all these distractions because we're deathly afraid of not being us anymore.
Right. Or existing anymore.
Because it's like, if we didn't have anything to complain about or anything to fight against, or yeah, right? Exactly. And that's sort of what I came to the
We're
conclusion
going to
about.
focus on just being.
Yeah.
What else is there?
Right. And being is enough.
Right. Right. And
So that's
trusting that being is enough.
yeah, because we do. If we think if I'm not doing anything, I'm not being valuable, I'm not worth being here,
Right.
blah 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 blah,
I'm not being
right?
productive. I'm not serving.
Right. Right. So, Laurel, your mom most likely feels like she's being helpful by, but she feels like she's giving her value, herself value by telling you what's right or wrong about you because
Right.
that's just, I mean, but this is how people are. This is a very common way we interact, and that's the whole like again, it goes back to the like in getting into this work, into this kind of work, and doing intuitive and spiritual work about having any kind of messages or understandings and not translating them when you tell another person, right?
Right.
Right, like, and we talk about the need for that, and yet such a vast majority of us do that. Of people who do it, like of those who are in that kind of field, will do that because we believe that adds value by us translating it. But in translating, we dilute, right?
Hmm.
Um, and we also take away the power of the other person in many respects because it's for them to understand and translate.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah. I always look at it as, you know, you're wearing rose colored glasses and they're wearing blue colored glasses, and you're not going to see things the same.
right,
So why would you impose, no, it's this, when they're seeing it totally different?
yeah. My daughter asked me once, or more than once, she's asked me. She goes, "How do you talk to so many different people, right, who have so many different things going on in their lives?" She goes, "How do you deal with those that you work with who just won't help themselves get out of a place?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, it's their journey.
Right.
All I can do is love. All I can do is love. Be there to be the catalyst, the facilitator that they maybe have asked for, or
Right.
we agreed for me to be. And it either takes root or it doesn't, and that's okay." And that took a long time, right? Because we then get it, like, and I can't say that there have never been days where I'm just like, oh, but
Right.
that's my
Right.
opinion. That's ego. That's judgment. And that's none of their, it's not any part of our business together. And I can't, and I don't be that, I can't be that, a catalyst or facilitator or reminderer without a better word, right?
Right.
With any kind of judgment. And if I have judgment, I put it on the shelf and say, you know what, that's none of it doesn't even belong here, right?
Right. Right.
It's for me to look at later on saying, well, why do I judge that? Because it's all perfect. Your journey is perfect and so is mine. So many of us get into this, active spiritual journey, and then all of a sudden I get have these conversations with those who've like had these massive awakenings, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, I'm worried about my spouse, or I'm worried about my parents, or I'm worried about my kids, like because they don't believe the same thing, or because they're not. And I'm just going, well, but their journey is perfect too. And one day they could wake up and they could be so much further along, even than like you in terms of remembrance, or whatever. But it doesn't even matter because we all get to the same place.
Yeah. Do you see Laurel's comment?
Mm-mm. Oh, the silliest thing about my coming home is gee, I'm actually surprised that everyone is acting the way they've been for decades, and I want to be a light and enjoy life. And, ugh, where is it? Oh, and somehow I get the focus off myself into trying to change everyone else, which is the great setup for myself. Yes, Angela, mom does care, even though the way I eat using products, supplements are bad, according to her. And she'd rather pop a pill, drink fake sugar products, and then wonder why she's so much pain. But I messed up because I haven't had grandkids because of my own health reasons and didn't achieve her level of success, also due to my health issues. And that is all changing, living limitless now with trust and joy. Well, yeah, and this is the whole self-realization thing, right? It's like
Right. Right.
not and this is the thing that is the most challenging thing for us to do in terms of close family members. is to not judge them for where they are today,
Right.
right? Because to them, where they are today, you might look like some crackpot crazy person.
Right.
Who's
You're
right?
just not in touch with reality.
Right. Correct. And it's funny when I've had somebody say that to me. I think it was my mother, probably, because that's usually where it comes from. Like in a family situation, and I'd be like, but that would be your reality. I'm in touch with my reality, 100%.
Exactly. Exactly.
I choose to create my reality in this way. Um, yeah, so there are these things, and it's really amped up to like, I don't know, 9 out of 10 on the sound, on the sound dial right now,
Right.
right? So of
Yeah.
course it's
Totally
everywhere.
agree.
And Laurel, great that you can see it, like even if you're still falling into it, at least you're observant of it, which is like the
Right. And
first
how
huge
brave
step.
of you to choose this trip to go and immerse yourself in it so you can be done with it because it's holding you back somewhere else.
Yeah. Yep. And you can say, I'm a crackpot, crazy person, not in touch with reality. That's what she said. Well, her reality, like I said, it's always like our realities are all our own. So we're sort of going around in circles with this, but it really it comes into that place of self-acceptance, because the more we come into self-acceptance, people can just say whatever they want. And it's funny because this is a basic core thing, and we come back to it again and again. But like you said earlier in the conversation, it's like every time we come to a new level of remembrance, it's like we have to reset that.
Right. Every, all pieces and parts have to come to that new level.
It was like I had a conversation with Jennifer Warrington last week, and we were talking about that. And I said, I've looked at why I haven't yet. I mean, I have everything lined up and ready to even start writing the books that I want to write and start writing. And I keep on getting right. Like, I'll be like, so what else can I be? Right. Oh, happy Monday, says Richard. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining us. Um, so, anyway, I was talking about getting ready to write. I have so much to write about, and and I just keep on getting right, like, because I think that's part of my whole like remembrance process too, because it just helps me
Right.
to bring it up. And I said, I don't even, sometimes I just laugh at myself now because it's such a joke. And I said, and I realized a couple weeks ago that part of the reason I haven't really started or let myself go in is that I feel like I'm going to lose myself. Like I'm going to open the door and it's just going to start pouring out. There's the tsunami, right? And then I'm going to just disappear because that's all that I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
And
You have this house you've got to find, and you have other things that you can't lose sight of.
in the back of my mind, that's what's running there, right? So I have
Well,
to
you have
limit
to figure it
myself.
out. You have to worry about those things
Yeah, yep, and spend time going to open houses and stuff but
because that's what you do.
yeah, right? Um, exactly. But so I was like, so that was part of it. And then what I said, and I think there's another part, and I said, because of that, and I can feel it, it's really a tsunami building up. So maybe I shouldn't let it get to be that big. Maybe it wouldn't have to be that
Right.
encompassing. But there is a book that I was talking about, and I said, yeah, because what came to mind, and I haven't thought about this in a long time, is there was a book that somebody wrote, and it was like, I don't know, it has to do with, the mysteries of remembrance and all that kind of stuff, but I don't even know what the name of the book was. Is the guy just literally shut down everything else and and he basically wrote the entire book like on the walls of his house, in the walls of his house. I don't know if it was a room or his entire house, I can't quite remember. But it was like, and people thought, oh my God, he's totally whacked. He's lost it, And I said, I think there's a part of me that's afraid of, oh my God, I'm just going to let myself go to this. And that's what my husband's going to come home one day and all the walls are going to be covered. And I'm going to be like, they can't take the house down because I have to
Right.
copy all this first.
See, and I
But,
beg for that kind of creativity to take over me.
well, and so, but in the conversation with Jennifer, I was talking about that. And she's like, yeah, but what if she goes, is that just because, like we're just talking about, because we were talking about similar things. And it's like, well, so what if we just said, but why is that a bad thing? Is
Right.
it because we're afraid of losing who we are into what we can be? And that's what's sort of wrong. And I can think that's what it came to me this morning in meditation is what we can be. We look so much at what we are, and we forget to say, well, what else can I be potentially? Like,
Right.
what else can I
Right.
do
Which
in
is,
being?
that's where I want to set my focus. That brings me that overwhelming joy that I'm looking for. That
Hmm.
overabundance of everything that then allows it to overflow to everything.
Yeah. Yep.
That is exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah. So, and I feel like that's where we are at this verge, right? At this chaos of the buildup of change or whatever it is,
Right.
to say, okay, so to step into this next, I'm gonna change from water to gas like this, right? And to
Right.
do that, I have to let go of being water. Like the solid water, I have to let myself become the gas. I have to let
Right.
myself become the other state, the next potential of what I can be. And might I
Right.
come back around to being water again? Yeah, probably because of the cycle of things, but whatever. Or
But there
not.
could also be ice in there, and
It
I'm
could
okay
also
with
be
that.
ice in there in different forms altogether. Yeah. That I'm not even considering in this moment because I can't see the whole, I can't remember the whole scope of things. So so I think that's what we're missing is this little piece of, okay, so if we step back and we allow and trust and say, what else can I be? What else can I potentially be? Or how? Well, what did I say? I said it was really nice before. Um, yeah,
What else
what
can
are
I
the,
allow myself to be?
what was that?
What else can I allow myself to
Yeah.
be?
What else can I allow myself to be? What are the possibilities of my realization into being in bliss in every moment and wholeness? Oh, that feels really good.
Yeah.
I hope you wrote that down well because I'll
Well, I
forget
was
it.
writing the first part when you were talking, and I was like, oh, I should have been listening so I could write the rest of it.
So, all right. Well, I say let's go and do that because that feels like it's it.
Right.
All right, let's go.
Oh, wow.
That was really cool. It felt like it almost felt like a part of me filled out that I hadn't recognized was there before. So it felt like something just became whole, and I kept on seeing the cells sort of like sort of go poof, like expand out.
Right, right.
And then it was what I saw was well, why, like, we say that about like water to gas, whatever, but it's like part of the thing is to recognize. So you got water, gas, ice, right?
Right. The
And
cycle.
so, yeah, yeah, another trinity, by the way. But then I saw that out there. Because I saw the cycle, but it was so funny. It was like, so it's not to say, like, what's the potential is like gas could be potentially be water again, or that ice could potentially be water. It's that because we still think of water then as the foundation, right? But what if
Hmm.
we just gave everything equal billing to say, well, everything has a potential to be all the others, right?
Right, right.
Not just a foundation of this is what this is. And Vershawn said, heard you are loved. Yeah. Yeah. And it's just loved.
Right,
So it's this whole like filling out of recognition to say, I have all that potentiality, you know?
right.
And if I took all the parts of me and allowed myself to be that embodiment, right, of bliss without any expectation of what that would look like, what would that look like? You know?
Right.
So, and that was really nice because that was down to the cells and then it zoomed way out to the collective. And there were like these
Mhm.
massive shifting things going on at the collective level. Um, yeah, that was really nice. That felt
Right,
almost like a massage.
right. I kept
Oh, and
hearing,
that was,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's a perfect example too that I didn't bring up about the massage that I went to have on Friday, right? Because I've been looking for a new massage therapist. That just reminded me that I'm having a massage. So here's the thing. I've been looking for a certain kind of massage therapist because the massage therapist that I had that was phenomenal and she left the industry, so she's not doing massage at all anymore. And it's just been so challenging and I haven't been able to find somebody else who, has been at that level of, connectivity and all that kind of stuff. And then I just committed to going to this place and I thought I was with one massage therapist, and because I had changed the appointment, they put me with another one that was like of the four that were listed was the one that I was least attracted to, and then I got this. Well, just allow. Well, so what if you allow like to let yourself free of expectation? So I went in, and it was a phenomenal massage, and it was very different than the way it
Right,
was, but that doesn't mean that I needed that. And I realized, well, maybe I just don't need that kind of massage anymore because I got that part, and now this is the part that supports me where I am right now.
right now.
And that's
Right.
that allowing, right? This is what I
Mhm.
am right now. This is what I'm being right now. So yeah. So anyway, so go ahead.
I kept, I kept hearing, I am being my full potential, which just felt phenomenal. And then trust kept coming in, which has been a big thing for me lately. And so as I'm being trusting, so it felt, but the basis was I am being, and allowing all possibilities is my full potential.
Yeah. Nice. It felt really nice. I saw at one point a big, for lack of a better word, looked like a vortex, but it was almost like everything, instead of a tsunami, because we think of that as a wave, right?
Right,
That's finite. It was like a circular chaos, right? Like a vortex, like a tornado,
right.
right? And
Hmm.
then right in the center, all of a sudden, when we allowed that potentiality, it was like this light just exploded, right? It was almost like a supernova, like it gets like it implodes and then it just totally
Explodes. Right.
exploded, and then everything just became, like together again, which was really nice. Yeah, that felt
Yeah.
beautiful. Beautiful as always. Well, this is another great week to wait and see.
I know. Yeah.
So we'll just have to see how that see how this goes. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Can't wait to see what comes up for this week and to next week, and we'll see you next time. This is Angela Coulter and
Sarah C. Evanian.
bringing you this week's Ascended World. Have a great one.
Thanks, guys.